Morning all, another beautiful morning. You'll have noticed I haven't released a video in a while. It's mostly just due to technical issues. I bought some new technology and the new technology doesn't work with the old technology, and it's all been very frustrating. Because I'd like to think I've had some profound insights, which I probably haven't. But this has been a bit of a shame because kind of a lot's happened in the last couple of months. Hello, madam. The cat's still here, you'll recognise. Come on, lie down. That's it. But I've been thinking about the, how things change and how quickly they change, or how slowly. And I think people believe in tipping points. They believe that things move on, there's some inertia, and then there's a tipping point, and everything starts to roll our way. Now, I don't really believe in tipping points, at least not on the way up. When you build something, it's constant effort. And as soon as you stop building it, it can run along a little while on its own inertia, but not for long. But what's got us to this point has been perhaps not constant, but persistent pressure. The grooming gangs inquiry, being given the go ahead, the official one, the government one, the whitewash to come one, and they will try to whitewash it, as we all know. But that's only come about because enough people didn't shut up. That's only come about because a lot of people were scared into silence, understandably, but enough weren't. The reason we didn't get completely steamrolled by the whole COVID thing is that enough of us refused to shut up. And what gets us to those points is pressure applied consistently. I think tipping points happen on the way down as things begin to get neglected. You have a situation where more and more things are not maintained, and then finally the system collapses. You have a tipping point, and it's then a runaway train. It's what they've been trying to tell us about climate change. But even that's losing its power. People are not believing it, with good reason, I think. But the thing about believing in tipping points is that it makes you believe that if you get to a certain point, everything will change and no further effort is required. And I don't think that's the real world. You have to put in constant effort for things to change. Constant effort for things to change for the better. Um, and Rupert Lowe is one such person who hasn't shut up. And he's a popular figure on the internet for sure. But he's not challenging Nigel Farage in terms of publicity. But the fact that he's not shutting up and he's moving forward and he's introducing new ideas, this idea of his Restore Britain is something is worth doing. I think it's worth getting involved in. And I've signed up, as I have lots of other people. And I think this is what needs to happen, is that we need to... We all imagined that before we were disillusioned of the fact, we imagined that our institutions would creak into life. The justice system would do what it's supposed to do. The media would do what it was supposed to do, and it would be shamed into working. But I don't think that's... I think these institutions are beyond redemption. So I'm hoping that this Restore Britain movement is the beginning of, perhaps trying to build a new state, because the old one isn't working. Now, in a relatively recent video, I made a video saying that we should get behind Nigel Farage, because for all his faults, and he wasn't perfect, he was the only game in town. But he is so obviously running scared from the Islam thing. And I don't like to use the term controlled opposition. I don't like to use that, but the things that he really needs to be bold about are the things that he's backing off from all the time. He won't commit to mass deportations, and he won't commit to countering Islam. And really, those are the two most important things that we face. I mean, there are so many things that we face, so many attacks on us, that it's difficult to try and prioritise. We're fighting fires on so many fronts. Ed Miliband and the climate stuff, freedom of speech, all these things. But I mean, I did up until fairly recently believe that the surveillance state was the biggest issue that we faced. And although that threat has not diminished in the least, and in fact is increased and is increasing, it has been overtaken in seriousness by the immigration. But I think if people could get behind Rupert Lowe, there's time to get behind him. There's plenty of time for Farage to make more mistakes. There's plenty of time for Farage to be, what would you say, engineered into a position where it looks as if he's something new but isn't. Um, I say there's plenty of time. There's not plenty of time, but there is time. And I'm going to see what else I could do. Maybe leaflet drops or something. That's quite easy, particularly when the weather's nice. It's quite pleasant. Um, because I think um, it is only about exposure, um, and getting to the normies. You know, Farage has been repeatedly put on the spot about forced deportations and countering Islam, and he's backed off every single time. You know, and I used to think that you could be strategic, get reform in, get them in, and then build an opposition to reform. You know, um, but I'm not sure that we've got time for that. Of course, the danger always is that you split the vote, and Labour and the Tories get in again. Um, that's certainly a danger. But there is also a danger is that reform just becomes a rebranding of the Party by filling their ranks with ex-Tories and some Labour people. Yeah, that's not what we need. So there is time. It's 4 years. I mean, even the left is splitting now. You know, Jeremy Corbyn is doing this new party with Zara Bukaki or whatever her name is. So the splits aren't just happening on the right, or those are the things that are most concerning to us. But as concerning that as they are to us, splits on the left should be welcome to us. And this grooming gangs thing has even spread to London now, where it sounds as if it's been going on there. And as horrific as it is, the fact that the spotlight is being turned on London is a good thing, particularly with that Goblin Khan in charge. And I would urge Londoners to get behind Ant Middleton, you know, the former Royal Marine and SBS bloke. Um, if only because that's somebody you can follow, somebody who's unlikely to be bought, somebody for whom honour and sacrifice really actually mean things. they do genuinely mean something. Anyway, the weather's still great. There's much hope to be had, but there's much work to be done. And I will do some more work by releasing some more videos, as much as for what it's worth. Because constant effort is what is required here. You know, we have to fight these battles every day. You know, there's never going to be a time, and there never really was a time when our society was safe, and it could be left to its own things. You know, we did that, and look what happened. So now we have to reclaim it. So keep pushing, everyone. It's the only way to stay free.